that's a compliment, right, Stu?
I know, yeah.
Stu has to get back to work.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, who was that? Who was that?
It was me, President Craig.
Oh, Arlette. Now, everybody was talking about their screens earlier. Hopefully there's one picture that you're looking at right now, which is me. Your phones are off. Welcome to the weekly meeting of Rotary. Things go better when you are here. We will now begin our meeting in the usual way with O Canada and a toast to the Queen. Dave Porter, if you would, everyone can rise.
You go, Winnie.
To the Queen, where were you in 1972 when that was all taking place? And how many knew all the words to the old version and sang along right in time? Our beacon editor this week is Larry Profit. Larry, I assume you're here? Hopefully.
He is.
He mutes us.
Thank you for joining us this week, Larry. And many thanks to Kaylee Rod last week for her beacon. If you have any announcements, please email Larry and he can make sure that they get into the beacon properly. Stu. So, announcements. Stu McMillan, first on the block. Oh.
Oh. You're not muted, Stu.
Wake up, Stu.
I don't have him as muted, so.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Stu, is your microphone on?
Well, he was talking earlier.
He was, but he's not muted.
He's not hearing anybody.
Look at him thinking.
Let me mute him and
right.
unmute him.
Stu, we're gonna come back to you. Hopefully we can get that figured out. Next one, Arlette Hutton.
Hang on, Arlette.
Actually, what? Yeah. It's they're building it right now, but we know when he pays for it.
All right, Wayne, hang on a
Hey,
sec
Wayne,
there.
welcome to the meeting.
Hi, Wayne, you're muted.
Arlette.
Hello.
Arlette.
Hello. I've changed a lot.
There you go, you're up.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Oh, we're good?
Yep.
Okay. President Craig, fellow Rotarians and guests, it's nice to see everybody. President Craig, did you get the check that I sent you in the mail?
I absolutely did, and there was a knock at our door that I actually had to sign for it. It was very official. Here it comes.
Wow, well, that's great. I'm amazed. The post office is doing a great job right now. And so on behalf of the Rotary Club of Barrie Charitable Foundation, I am pleased to present a check in the amount of $9,500, which represents the final payment of the foundation's commitment to the club of $18,000. If you recall, previously we have donated to the Grade 2 book project and also to the Huronia Lookout and that brings the total to $18,000. So I'd like to take this time to thank some of the donors. We had some new donors last year that supported us through cash donations, stock donations. Another point I wanted to make out is that we have some people in the club who consistently give memorial donations to the foundation when they're in a situation where you are requested to give a donation to the charity of your choice. So thank you to everybody who has donated over the past year. Just so everybody remembers, the foundation has an obligation to spend 3.5% of its assets, and that's where the $18,000 comes from. I think it's really important right now as we're seeing some of our fundraising efforts postponed or changed dramatically, that this money becomes very important to the club. And it's a bit like an RSP. I mean, we get donations every year, but we also have some tremendous income from the investment strategy that we have taken on during past Chair Chris Garapi's year. So we are in effect raising our amount by about $100,000 a year. So that roughly equates to an extra $3,500 every year to the club. So like I said, it's like an RSP. It kind of compounds over the years, and it certainly is important right now when we are a little bit shaky on fundraising opportunities. So thank you to everybody who supports us, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the board. They're great. Greg McWatt, Bob Greer, Ian Pavlik, and the double Daves, Dave McCullough and Dave Blancairn. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arlette, and I know the club really appreciates the work that the foundation does. It's a great model for us to have and utilize the tools that it provides our clubs. And I know I really appreciated the $18,000 added to my budget this year that went to a lot of good projects. So thank you very much to you and your committee. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Fun Run. Kara, are you doing the announcement for that?
Yeah, I can start.
Thank you.
President Craig, fellow Rotarians and guests, more announcements for the Fun Run. Every week you'll hear from me and getting updates. I hope that all of you have taken the opportunity to visit the website and see all of the hard work that Ian Pavlik has done. He's made it really simple for individuals to sign up for this and compete in our Fun Run event, as well as teams. So I think actually that's what I'd like to focus on today, is asking people for their connections to, whether it's minor teams or major teams. This is an opportunity for teams that wouldn't be able to get together now to come together on an online platform and cheer each other on and work towards a goal. So if you can reach out to me or Ian, that'd be great. And we can set you up with some how-tos, or we can connect with those people as well. Also, I'll play off a little bit of what Arlette was saying, because sponsorship and the money coming into the club is looking a little bit differently. We definitely want to make sure that this is a success. So tell everyone that you can. There's on the website, you can share the website and all the information to your social media. Sponsorship are amazing. Like, our club is so great. We have 21 reconfirmed and recommitted sponsors, which is about 64% of the total number of sponsors. We've only had 3 people, having to either defer or cancel for this year, and we totally understand. And 9 people still that we're waiting to get a hold of. So those are kind of the numbers that we're working with, but still fantastic support. And we've had a lot of in-kind donations as well to help get the word out, like Kerbeck signs, so watch for them. Thank you, Greg McWatt and Rudy Max-Irving. They'll be out there if you can look for them. I think that's about it. Everyone's aware of the website, www.barriefunrun.com. Go ahead and check it out. Don't do it during the meeting. I think that's about it.
Thanks,
Unless
Kara.
Ian has yeah, no problem. Unless Ian has some other things to say about the website, I think that pretty much covers it. I think that also Dave Porter has a copy of my interview with Rogers TV. He's welcome to play it if he likes. If not, you can go online and see it.
Okay. Thanks, Kara.
You're welcome.
And as far as people doing things in kind, I know that Ian Pavlik slaved like a dog to get the website to where it is, and it absolutely is truly amazing. And we really, really appreciate Ian for all the work that he's done on that.
Continuous work for him too,
Yes,
because
yes.
he's constantly refining it and making it better and taking ideas. And now there's T-shirts available on the website. Shout out to Ian for sure. Thank you.
Super. And to everyone else who isn't is kind of intimidated by the going online and sharing information, we really, really do need your support to make this a success. If you can copy the link and share it via email with your friends, if you're not on social media, or do something, but get online and register, and let's make this the great success that it can be. And we can use this model again next year in conjunction with the regular walks. So I really appreciate all the hard work, and it'll pay dividends down the road. Thank you, Kara, and to your team. Stu, are you back online yet?
I don't have a problem with it. He's not muted at this end.
Okay. Hold on 2 seconds. Let's do this. Stu, do you have your phone?
So he can hear us okay, he just can't.
This is technology at its best. Watch this, folks. Stu, can you tell me what your announcement is, and I'll relay it. This looks like a scene out of My Name is Earl, when they had the interpreter in court.
Why don't you put it on speaker, Craig?
Do that. So anyway, we'll blame him.
Okay, go ahead.
Regardless, this is not so much an announcement, but a greeting. I happen to be on a job site doing some work for a wonderful employer of mine, and happened to be a long-term care facility, and I was in there in the mask and the glasses and the whole thing. And a gentleman came up to me and recognized me through all of that. And it happened to be Jack Garner, longtime member of our club. And he just wanted to make sure that that the club knew that he's doing very, very well. He feels great. He's enjoying where he's staying, which is Woods Park. And he just wanted to send on his welcome and his greetings to the club.
Terrific. Thank you, Stu. Yes, a round of applause for that good news announcement. For those that didn't hear that, I assume everybody heard that okay?
I believe so.
Sorry, I hung up on you. Yes? Dave, you could hear that okay?
Yep.
Okay, super. So nice to see that Jack is still thinking about Rotary, and I know it was a big part of his career at the time. I did, Dave, if you can unmute everyone. I skipped over guests and visiting Rotarians, and I certainly don't want to miss that.
Okay.
All right. So is everybody unmuted? Except Stu?
Yep. Everyone is.
Okay. If you've brought a guest today or know of a guest that happens to be visiting today, could you please announce them for us?
Would you like me to announce our guest speaker?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, I'll jump in here. Our guest speakers there, Doug Vardy, Laura Vaughn, and Brittany Hope, they were scheduled to join us back in April for the
You're bugging somebody, you're going to get smacked.
Oops. Anyway, I'll just be clear to welcome Doug. Doug's a volunteer board member of the Nature Conservancy of Canada and chairs the NCC Ontario Leaders in Conservation Program. Laura Vaughn is a Senior Development Officer for the Nature Conservancy of Canada, Ontario region, and she's been with them for 3 years. And Brittany Hope has been with the NCC since 2017 as a coordinator conservation biology for Central Ontario West. So we look forward to hearing from our 3 guest speakers today in Conservation Month.
Thank you, Bruce. Did anybody else bring a guest today?
Kyle.
Please tell me somebody brought Aaron today. He just didn't hijack the meeting on his own.
I think Kyle's muted.
Well, I was invited.
Yeah. Glad to have you with us, Aaron. Always. How are the babies doing?
Well, babies, it looks like all have hatched, but they're like uncooked chicken wings, is what they look like to me.
Everything looks like food to you. That's why I don't stand still around you.
President Craig, has been no lunch been served in a while, so.
Good one. Anybody else? I think that's it, eh? Okay. So, to all our guests and visiting Rotarians, we're going to do birthdays and anniversaries. So this week we have for birthdays we have Marshall Green and Jeff Hand. Anniversaries we have Mark and Sherry Adams, 12 years. Randy and Tish Maxim, 17 years. And Rotary anniversaries, Michael LeCollier with 13 years and Jerry Norman, 26 years. So if everybody could please join us in a rousing rendition of Happy Birthday, and I will apologize to our guests in advance. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear fellow. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday. Oh.
You.
And it doesn't sound any better when we're together. Sergeant at Arms Kyle.
He just asked to join up again, so he should be in.
Oh.
Something got kicked somehow. Let's take a look here. He's here.
I'm just on a Zoom.
Hang on. People are talking when they're not supposed to be. One sec.
Oh, you're back, okay?
I had to go to the meeting.
Hang on a sec, Kyle. Let me unmute you. People are talking, so I have to mute everyone. All right, try it again.
President Craig, how are you?
I'm excellent, Kyle. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Another wonderful day in Rotary Bliss here.
Yes, you're looking pretty relaxed.
Yeah, as are you, although I see that tie on.
Did you just roll out of bed or what?
Yes. I comb my mustache, though. Ted Barnaby asked me to do that.
Okay.
So just a quick announcement. While Kara was speaking, what an engaged chair she is, because there's a donation made immediately to the Fun Run website from Jody Patfield. So this is real live stuff. It's like Jerry Lewis and the auctioneer going on live. It's pretty cool stuff.
That's so exciting. Who else? Who else are we gonna get?
I don't know, but we might. Jody might start a trend. He has started other trends, although they do quickly fade away, I think.
That's great. Thank you, Jody.
So I just wanted to do a quick update for the club on our bottle drive, President Craig. Porter, if you can bring up the picture of Millsy. He worked hard to, just while we're going through things here, we had, look at Millsy. He's got the Bay Cats on. Look at the garage is clean in the background. If you look over to the left of the stack of booze, he was over in his neighbor's garage, President Craig, stealing their empties. So it's just a great Rotarian at work there.
Is that what he told you?
Well, that's what he said to me. And I looked at his shoes and they look pretty clean, but I don't know.
I think he's been crying the blues over the cancellation of the event. Millsy, are you here?
Yes, I am.
That's some heavy drinking going there.
Well, it was a pretty slow month.
Did it go by fast?
Yeah, it's good.
Well, that's great. And you made your way down to the parking lot and dropped that stuff off. That was amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That was Kyle that did all that.
Oh, it was Kyle that did all that. Well, it's nice to know that you were keeping the buzz going and couldn't drive then. Is that what happened?
Yeah, true.
So do we need to make this a weekly event? Like, do we need to stop out at least once a week, or?
President Craig, he was drunk when I arrived. I'm glad you noticed. You can tell in the picture. And then I went to Marshall Green's. Couldn't even see him. I think he was passed out inside. He just left the bottles in the garage.
Marshall, what are you doing?
As I mentioned earlier before you got on, I had 2 8-hour mediations this week. Had to have something to release the tension.
That'll cause anybody to drink. Well, we appreciate picking up your empties. That's awesome.
So, President Craig, we had $240 in cash that your team went through the beer store to collect, which is amazing news. Just want to report that. And we had $511 worth of empties returned to the Ann Street Beer Store that we didn't get the cash on, just for the club. So if we get audited, I want everybody to know we've got pictures of it. But the lineup was around the block. And I made an executive decision, and we donated all to RVH. So right to a local cause, and I think everybody in the club would support that.
Thank you, Kyle. And yes, we were also part of that big long lineup that went out and around the block, and it was making it a bit of a challenge to do the drop off. And so happy to see the skid that says donate to RVH. So if anybody missed the drop off, or if anybody is collecting more bottles over the next few weeks, you can just make your way over to the beer store on Ann Street, and they have a skid that says donate to the RVH, and you can leave your empties there. What's next? So,
President Craig, you're on your computer. You can see probably a clock on there. Can you see a clock? What time do you see?
I see 12:54 p.m.
Do you wear a watch, President Craig?
I do wear a watch. It's synchronized. Yeah, it's good. I have a phone with the time on it too.
So you probably have, yeah, right. So there are lots of ways to see the time, but let's see your watch. Like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but is it a nice one? It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Very nice watch.
It'd be nicer if you maybe won a watch or something, or that'd be a good news announcement, don't you think?
Everybody could use a new watch.
Is Lucky Tucky available? I just want to know if Todd's available. Doing a bit of research here with Princess Margaret, and it looks like Todd Tucky is the winner of a beautiful Samsung Galaxy watch. Does everybody see that? President Craig, like this, you know how much that watch costs?
I have no idea how much.
Oh, I Googled it. I think it's over $1,000, and it's GPS coordinates and everything. And if you can run with it, it does all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, Todd didn't bring that to my attention. I just want you to know that. I had to dig. I knew that the Princess Margaret lottery was completed. And so I just went in there to check. Of course, I didn't win. But I thought, you know what? Just for fun, I'll just type in Tucky, see what happens. And look what I find.
Todd.
President Craig.
How are things in Midhurst?
Things are great. Nice and quiet.
Excellent. Excellent. What's going on?
Hey, Kyle, thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. But I don't think I'll be running with it.
The fun run's
coming up, Todd. Does it have a heart monitor, Todd?
What's that? Oh, a heart monitor.
Does it have a heart monitor?
That would help.
So is this just like recent news? Like, seriously, you didn't know about it?
I found out Friday.
Okay.
So it's recent.
So it's very recent. So, but what's interesting though is last week during the meeting, there was this alarm that went off when everybody was supposed to be paying attention to our speaker. At the very end of it, there was this alarm that went off, and it sounded like the Lotto 649 thing that said Gagnon. And I can only imagine one person in our club that might have been doing that. Was that you by chance?
I can't recollect, President Craig. That's a week ago.
Yeah, so we'll do this then. How much money did you win last week?
Enough?
If you President club, because you did it on club time, right?
I'll tell you what, President Craig, let's make a deal.
I love making deals.
All right. I actually got myself some tickets for tomorrow night's Mega Millions in the States for $335 million.
Okay.
What would be a fair cut to the club if I happen to win?
Just President Craig, I'm sorry to interrupt. I know this is your
make a deal
question
here,
and answer, but I think you also need to know that Tucky's probably got about $1 million worth of empties in his garage. I've got good information that it is stocked with empties.
And he has a truck. He had no excuse not to bring it back.
It's unbelievable.
So what about this, Todd? We've got an auction coming up, right? An online auction.
Do you?
You'd be willing to donate that phone or your new watch to the auction? I think that'd be a great.
Well, you know what? Let me have a look and see what this thing is. I don't even know. I don't know if Kyle's lying to me or not.
Well, we'll put it on. Maybe there's 2 Todd Tuckies that live in Midhurst. It's possible. So we'll put a pin in that, and we'll come back to it in a week. Once you get it, you can show it and decide whether or not you're going to donate it or pay the fine.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now let's get back to the other thing, the negotiation on the tickets. So if you win the Mega Million, I would say that the club would be satisfied with $1 million to the foundation.
Okay.
Like, how many millions do you need now? Like, you're already up a couple of mil, so.
Well, no, I'm okay, but yeah, $1 million would be fine.
All right, sounds good. All right, so we're the foundation is $1 million to the rich if things pan out for you.
I'll call everybody on Saturday.
And that's US, right?
Yeah, you got it in Canadian.
Thank you very much, Todd.
Thanks, Todd. So, President Craig, I see here I've got 1 minute left. I do have a video that is going to take about 2.5 minutes. Am I good to do it?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we, as you know, the SAA committee has changed the Rotary Golf Day now. It's happening next week, which is outstanding news. We're going to have great weather. So just a reminder, everybody, book your own foursome, ideally with a Rotarian or somebody that you think would be great to join the club and get out and enjoy some sunshine next Thursday instead of the meeting. But I did have a request in for some swings. And so we have a few that have come into us. And I just wanted to show them, and we'll do a bit of a, Dave, if you can open up my screen here so I can share it.
You should be able to share right away.
It's not letting me, so that's okay. Let's divert.
I'll do it on my
you
end.
share it. Yeah, you share it on your end if you don't mind. You're proud to be awesome. I love it. So we put things together here. This is Kyle Campbell, the former golf professional, going to do a quick analysis of some swings that came into the club. Thanks, Dave. And I'll talk you through some of these, President Craig. This is Ron Riley. And we're going to slow this one down, but right off the stop, that's a great posture, Ron. I think you've got great posture. It's a good athletic pose. I want you to, when this slows down here, we're going to see that Ron takes the club outside, and then what he's going to do is he's going to compensate right at the top, and he's going to go even further outside. That is a big, huge banana slice, Ron. So the way to do that is try and bring that club a little bit on the inside and release it out to the target. See that pergola thing on the left? Your hands should go over that. Now we're into Todd Armstrong. Oh, God. Please push it forward, Porter. That's horrible. Okay, now we're into Markle. So what you're going to see with Markle here is he's got great posture, good alignment, nice short little swing, but the best thing there is look at that follow through. Now that is professional. Past President Sebastian, I love this.
Millsy's in a bit of a rough situation.
Millsy's got issues. Thanks, Dave. So we gotta load up Millsy here. If you can just back us up a bit, Dave. Millsy just he found himself in a bit of a problem, but watch his release, President Craig, as he goes through the ball, and you'll see this clearly gets back on the fairway. Let's advance that.
This is really important because this is usually the same spot I find myself.
And
a rough situation here.
He's wearing a vest, like in the heat. Look at him.
Payne Stewart.
Pretty good, right? Now this is a pro you can see right here. Betty Ann, let's roll this one through, Dave. Betty Ann let me know that she golfs about 3 times a week. She's not used to being in the rough, but it was nice for her to find a nice park space. Now look at the slow, look, in all seriousness, Betty Ann doesn't golf, but look at the straight back arm.
I like the shoes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know you're good when you're wearing pumps on the golf course.
I don't know how she does in the bunkers, but anyhow.
So let's continue on, Dave. The next one's going to be a great one. I can just tell. Look at the smile. Like, that's just happiness.
Go.
Look at this. Now, I'm going to tell you, pause there, Dave. Pause there. Oh, goodness. That's a close-up of Aaron, my guess. I don't know if I can handle that. But look at Larry. Now, I'm going to tell you, before he sets up here, I like his posture. I like his positioning. The ball's off the front foot, it looks like to me. Angles a little bit forward. Good, strong grip. But I'm telling you right now, I wasn't there. That ball is going 7,000 yards to the left. I will guarantee it. Now let's flow through and see where this thing goes. Did you hear that, Craig?
I did. I didn't realize that Eastview or Georgia College had a driving range in their backyard either.
They don't, but they also have houses. And one of those houses just took a ball off the window. I could hear the smash.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's unbelievable. So, Larry, the tip for you, Larry, is to take probably 2 weeks off from golf, and then you should quit. So let's move on to Hassan here and see what he's got going on.
All right, Kyle, can you give me a hand with my stroke?
It's a little unnerving.
Jesus! Kyle, what am I doing wrong? I can't hit the ball.
Aaron, golf shot.
Yeah, so let's pause it. Well, let's roll it through with Ron because we're running out of time. But this is a great ending, President Craig.
The favorable drop. The end.
So I'll just really quickly say that thank you to everybody for sending those in. I didn't get a chance to critique Ron or Aaron, but honestly, I thought you guys looked great. I'm surprised you haven't, Ron, I know you're retired, but the Champions Tour could easily take a player like you. Anybody who can find a ball in that mess is should be no question going. And Aaron, I've seen you play in real life, and it's clear that you are a professional drinker, but you might be getting better at golf in the future. So one last thing, President Craig, Jonathan Derrick just donated to the fun run. Look at the smile on Kara's face.
Excellent. Thank you, Jonathan.
Well, I'm almost an hour late, so I figured that was my buy-in to this meeting.
So you doubled up your donation to the fun run then? Is that what you?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, thanks.
That's it for me, President Craig. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms Kyle, for putting all that together. I do appreciate the work and the entertainment that went into that. And just another reiteration or a reminder that no meeting next week. You are to go golfing. That's the only rules you have. Just go golfing. Find another Rotarian and go golfing with them. To introduce our guest speaker, Bruce Shipley, if you could just give them a quick introduction again, or maybe just give us an intro on the talk.
Sure.
So you already introduced them. I'm not sure if they have an order that they're going to follow.
Thanks, President Craig. I'm not sure which order, but just to repeat again, Doug Barty, welcome. Doug is familiar with the area, and he's a volunteer member on the board of the Nature Conservancy of Canada, and a member of the Aurelia Soldier Memorial Hospital Foundation, Community Foundation of Aurelia. Laura Vaughn is the Senior Development Officer for the Nature Conservancy of Canada. And Laura's got a Bachelor of Business from Acadia University and studied International Project Management at the University of Toronto. And Brittany Hope, our third guest speaker today, has 11 years of field experience in volunteer opportunities at conservation authorities and non-government organizations and friends groups. Brittany has a Bachelor of Arts in Environmental Geography and 3 environment-related diplomas from Fleming College. So we have 3 very qualified environmental people to speak with us today, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you and welcome.
Well, actually, this one we have 2. Doug is having a hard time getting in.
Oh.
But Brittany and Laura, I've made you co-hosts, so you can share your screen at any time if you wanted to do your presentation while I wait for Doug to come in.
Wonderful. Sounds great. Thank you. I will just get my screen shared here. Right. So how are we doing there? Can everybody see the presentation on the screen?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so thank you so much, Bruce, for that lovely introduction. I don't think Doug is quite on yet.
He's not here.
No, okay, no worries. We were gonna start with him saying a couple of words, but I will just go right in. So again, thank you so much for the introduction. As Bruce mentioned, I am a Senior Development Officer with the Nature Conservancy of Canada's Ontario region. So my main focus really is raising funds to do our work, which is conserving and caring for lands in Ontario. I am full-time with NCC, so I get the wonderful job of meeting amazing new people such as yourself and talking about nature. And Brittany is with me too, so she'll be speaking a little later on. Brittany manages all of NCC's land in sort of this general area near Barrie. So a couple of those places we'll be telling you about here today. Just a bit of an overview on what we're going to chat about. You know, obviously everybody's been enjoying a lot of the great indoors lately, but we are going to hopefully bring you outside a little bit with this presentation. We just wanted to do a bit of an overview of the Nature Conservancy of Canada and then talk about 2 areas where we work that are a bit close to home. So one being the Minising Wetlands, which some of you might know, just about 12 kilometers west of Barrie. And then the other being East Coulson Swamp, which is right near Oro-Medonte. A couple other areas where we do work, which we won't have time to talk about today, are Carden Alvar, Creemore Nature Preserve, and then the Severn Woodlands. So if you have any questions about any of those places, feel free to reach out to us after. Then we're just going to kind of wrap it up with what we can all do and some ideas of what you can do to help nature in your own lives. So first of all, many of you may have heard of the Nature Conservancy of Canada, but you might not know exactly what we do. So oftentimes people think we're a government organization because our name sounds a little bit like a government group, but we are actually not affiliated with the government. We are a charity, and we're a national charity and a private nonprofit organization. So we are Canada's largest land conservation organization, and what we do fundamentally is we partner with individuals, corporations, foundations, Indigenous communities, and governments at all levels to protect Canada's most important natural areas. So we protect these areas for their intrinsic values, so meaning for all the fundamental benefits nature provides to humans and other species. So being fresh air, clean water, a place to live. And we protect them so that they'll be there for our children and grandchildren. So why do we do what we do? We do know that the Canadian lands that we love are changing forever, and we're facing some really, really big challenges. These are just a few high-level challenges, like 70% of the wetlands have actually disappeared from the Great Lakes region. 99% of our tall grass prairies have been lost here in Canada. We have over 700 species at risk, and we're seeing a decline in Canada's coastal marshes. So, you know, obviously these are very big problems, bigger problems than just one organization can tackle, which is why, as I mentioned, we do partner with all these different other groups to try and make a real impact. So nature faces many serious threats. Just going to kind of highlight three that we think about a lot. Conservation is integral to any effective strategy to slow climate change and to really mitigate its effects. So we know that by conserving and restoring land, that land sequesters CO2 and stores substantial amounts of carbon. So NCC projects also connect up protected areas at a landscape scale, so a lot of land. This allows room for species to migrate and adapt to climate change, which we're finding is more important now than ever. Our work helps people adapt to climate change as well by ensuring healthy ecosystems. So these ecosystems buffer the effects of drought, flooding, and support resilient communities. Habitat loss and fragmentation, certainly as we see land being developed, it either leaves wilderness, no wilderness for species to thrive, or it sort of chops it up, and animals and plant species are not able to get to those places they need to get to find food, to find mates, and they do inevitably die off if this happens too much. Invasive species, many of you might be aware of these. These are species that have come from other countries that weren't here originally. And I guess beyond just being non-native, they're also really aggressive in population growth. So they can actually choke out the species that were here originally. So if we allow these invasive species to kill our native species, the whole chain of the ecosystem is broken, and other species have a really hard time surviving, and they can die out as well. So this is another threat that we try to address. The good news is we do have the opportunity to protect land in Canada. A lot of countries have lost this opportunity, no longer have it. They may have, densely populated areas and not a lot of wilderness left. But we know, obviously, in Canada, we do have a lot of wilderness that we still have the opportunity to protect. But certainly with Canada's population and the rate of development continuing to grow, we're doing our best to accelerate the amount of land that we can conserve while we have the opportunity to do so. So really, at the Nature Conservancy of Canada, we have 4 key activities, and these have been our 4 main activities for the last 55 years. So science drives everything that we do. This is the planning stage of our work. So what we've done is we look at Canada's landscapes and look at where they are most threatened and where there's a high number of species at risk, but also where there's an opportunity to conserve a lot of land and make that impact. So these areas are areas where we focus in, and we spend our resources, our time, and the donation dollars that come in. So securement is the next phase. This is where we actually buy land or have land donated to us. We do this by working in communities. We build relationships in communities where there are important places to protect. We also do many types of unique securement, where maybe we would place a cooperative agreement of various kinds on land where we would own some of the rights, and then the landowner would still maintain the title and get a tax receipt. So there's lots of creative ways that we can do it. Stewardship, once we do have land protected, we need to take care of it for the long term. This is a really, really important part of it. So the ongoing care, maintenance, and monitoring happens on every property. Some lands that we acquire are in pristine condition, and we may not need to do much other than monitoring, but some of them actually might need some restoration. So for instance, if a property has an old agriculture field on it that used to be a wetland, we might restore that back to its original wetland state. And then finally, engagement. We definitely want to engage Canadians in our mission and in the work that we do. So we do this through our volunteer program, where volunteers can come out and actually help us with stewardship work on the ground. Our internship program each summer, unfortunately not this summer with COVID-19, we've had some restrictions with interns being able to come help us out. But in a normal year, we'd be welcoming lots of interns to come get some experience in the field as well. And then of course, just inviting people out to enjoy the properties that are open for hiking. In everything that we do, we try and be as efficient and effective as possible with our dollars. So 78% of all funds raised go directly toward our conservation work. So just a tiny bit about the money side of things. NCC's average budget is about $82 million. This is a 3-year average across the whole country. So obviously land is very expensive. We have also established an endowment fund specifically to ensure that we have the funds to care for our lands for the long term. So we have a board mandated policy that every property NCC protects, we actually raise 20% of the land value. That goes into our stewardship endowment fund, and that gives us the confidence to know that we can care for those lands for the long term. Just a little bit about sources of revenue. As you can see, about 40% is government, 25% from individuals, and then the rest is made up of foundations and organizations and corporations. That 9% is things like leases of land. So what impact have we made in the last 55 years? This is a map of Canada. Obviously, all those little yellow dots are NCC properties and projects that we've worked on. This is a tiny bit outdated to 2018, so there's more yellow dots now. But what this really translates to is in the last 55 years, the Nature Conservancy of Canada has helped protect over 14 million hectares, which translates to about 35 million acres from coast to coast to coast. So that's about 4 times the size of Vancouver Island. That's a lot of habitat. Then just to quickly show you another map and bring it down to Ontario. These are the specific areas in Ontario where we're focused. You can see our work spans from way up to Rainy Lake to the Lake of the Woods and Lake Superior, all the way down to Pelee Island, and then across to places like the Frontenac Arch and Ottawa River Valley and all in between. So these represent a lot of different habitats, from forests to wetlands to grasslands to alvars. All right, so I'm going to now pass it off to Brittany, if she's unmuted, just to talk a little bit about the specific areas that we're working that are close to you folks in Barrie.
Thanks, Laura. If you want to go to the next slide. So I'm first going to start with the missing wetlands, and many of you may have noticed this big giant green hole in the middle of Barrie, Angus, Sunnydale Corners, and Minising. And what this is the missing wetlands. It's the 3rd largest wetlands in all of southern Ontario. It has a Ramsar designation, which is on par with the Florida Everglades. It's often referred to as the Everglades of the North. It supports more than 30 at-risk species, including the Hines emerald dragonfly, which is only home in all of Canada, is in the Minising wetlands. It provides critical flood control. Some models suggest that in the spring, if the Minising wetlands didn't exist, that about 1 meter of water would cover all of the town of Wasaga Beach, making it basically unlivable. So thanks to the Minising wetlands for that, and provides recreational opportunities. And since the 1970s, NCC has partnered with many groups, including the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and Ontario Parks and the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, and conserved 13,600 acres of land. And what that looks like on the ground is, next slide, is just that. Most of the core of the wetland has been protected, and we're working on sort of the outer edges, which provide sort of buffer habitat for the wetlands. So as you can see here, we've protected more than 60% of the natural area with our partners. Next slide. You can see here the recreational opportunities that the wetland provides. The floodwaters can rise up to 8 meters. Sorry, not 8 meters, 2 meters, making the wetland that usually is constricted to a river more like a lake. Next slide. and also provides a lot of winter recreation. So this area is an old heron nesting site and is only accessible during the winter. And it's a pretty cool place to check out, but only accessible in the winter. So, next slide. So what is NCC doing in the missing wetlands? We're doing lots of things: species monitoring, restoration projects, stream bank stabilization, and invasive species control. So two of the main species that we do monitor are what you see on this slide here: the eastern prairie white-fringed orchid, which is quite a rare orchid that occurs in large population actually in the Minisink. So each year we trek in 3 kilometers off the beaten path and monitor this orchid. And then on the left is the Hines emerald dragonfly that I was talking about a bit earlier, whose only home in all of Canada is in the Minisink wetlands. And it's part of the emerald family. It lives about 3 to 5 years in the larva stage in a stream. And one of the cool things about the Hines emerald is that it uses digger crayfish burrows, which is a crayfish that burrows and basically makes an underground home that connects to the groundwater system. And it overwinters and over summers in this crayfish burrow, and they kind of cohabitate in there. And each year we do a dragonfly count that we have volunteers come and help us out with, and that is inadvertently monitoring the Hines emerald dragonfly. So that's pretty cool. Next slide. Pictured here is volunteers helping us with habitat creation. So what these volunteers are doing is anchoring woody debris to the bank and creating fish habitat. So fish will hide under here, create their homes. And in addition, turtles will also use it for basking, and it also helps with erosion control of the banks of the stream. Next slide. And we also do a lot of tree planting events. So this is 65 high school students from Barrie who have helped us plant 800 trees in about 4 hours. So one of the big things in Minisink is that it's getting wetter and wetter due to a number of reasons, but the main reason is development upstream. So every time a parking lot is built upstream, or a subdivision is built upstream, the water doesn't have a chance to infiltrate. It basically runs off and runs straight into our rivers instead of soaking into the ground sort of gently. And that's causing the Minisink to become more wet year round. And most trees can't really have their feet that wet all year round. So what we're working on is restoring swamp forest on the sort of outskirts of the Minisink where it's more dry now, because there are a lot of species at risk that use that swamp forest habitat. Next slide. And one of our newest projects is called Baldwick Bluff, and it's soon to be conserved. It's breeding habitat for the Hines emerald dragonfly, and it's a large-scale grassland restoration project. And that project's still ongoing. We still have about $60,000 left to raise for that to close, hopefully in June. And then the next property I'm going to chat with you about is called East Coulson Swamp, and this property is located on Bass Lake Side Road in Ormodonte. It's almost 300 acres of forest and wetland and has 2.5 kilometers of trail that's open to the public all year round. It's located just about 20 minutes from Barrie. Why it's so important? It's a provincially significant wetland called the East Coulson Wetland. It's headwaters for the Coldwater River, and it's a oral moraine recharge and significant woodland. Fine.
Yeah.
And our newest donation just came up highlighted on the screen, and Laura's going to talk about that just for a few minutes.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight this one. So over the years, our staff have, obviously been working in this area. We've developed a great relationship with this neighbor who is donating this property to the Nature Conservancy of Canada. So about a year ago, we went out there on a nice sunny day, picked some garlic mustard with the landowner on their property. He took us on a big tour of the land, I was looking at some photos the other day. It was such a great day. We heard chorus frogs, we hugged a butternut tree, and we just spent some time with him and talked to him about his wishes for the future of his property. So he wanted to see this property protected forever. He definitely saw over the years the development that was starting to move a little bit closer. As well, there's a nearby gravel pit that was established that posed a possible, threat at some point in the future. So he wanted to be sure that the land that he loved his entire life was protected forever. So he graciously decided he wanted to donate his property to the Nature Conservancy of Canada, and we were obviously very delighted to receive that news, and really excited to see this important land conserved. You might see that there is still an amount left to raise. So even with donated properties, we have all types of different associated costs like legal fees and the amount that we need to make sure that we raise so that we can take care of the property for the long term. So we're still working to raise that additional $80,000 or so to make sure that this really special place can be protected forever.
So what is NCC doing in this area? This is one of those areas that's fairly pristine, doesn't need a whole lot of work, but we do have some invasive species control. We do species monitoring, managing coniferous plantations, and maintaining and improving trail infrastructure. And all of these photos were actually taken on the property this spring, which is, you can go there right now and see all these species, which is kind of cool. Next slide. And earlier this week, I had a few volunteers come out, neighbors of the property, to help me control garlic mustard. So you'll see on the left is a before picture, and garlic mustard is an invasive plant that loves forest. And it's got a little white flower on it, grows about 2 feet tall. And as you can see, it does spread very quickly, and removing it will basically cause the forest to have a lot more space for the species you see on the bottom of your screen, which were all seen at the property on Monday when I was there.
Yeah, so we just wanted to kind of wrap up with just a few ideas of things that we can all do to help nature along in our own backyards or just in our everyday lives. The first one is, to help increase biodiversity, the best thing we can do is really plant native species in our garden, in our backyards, in planters, wherever we have a little bit of space. This definitely helps bring some biodiversity to your backyards too. So it'll bring, different butterflies that you may have not seen in your backyard before, bird species, all types of stuff. The benefits of this too is you don't have to use pesticides or herbicides. There's fewer maintenance that goes into caring for native species because they're happy in the habitat and they want to be there. So you don't have to be watering them all the time once they're established. They also provide water retention on your property, carbon storage. So altogether, they're a pretty great thing if you're looking for a new species to introduce into your backyard this year. I'd recommend going to this link. I'm happy to share this presentation with everybody after too, so you can have the resources. But there's a guide called Grow Me Instead, and it's on the website for the Ontario Invasive Plant Council. So they have two great guides. One is native plants in Southern Ontario, one's native plants in Northern Ontario. So they provide some great options there. And there's also just a book there that's also pretty good too. So 100 easy to grow native plants for Canadian gardens. Now, we just wanted to show a couple of photos. These were from the backyard of one of our colleagues who has sort of naturalized her backyard space. So as you can see, they're really pretty, and there's lots of different options depending on, if you have hot and dry backyard, shady, if you're looking for ground cover. The other thing that I'm not sure if everybody's heard of, but there's a few apps that are citizen science apps. And you can just get these on your smartphone, so you can actually help conservation efforts and help science just by using your smartphone, something we all have in our pocket. So the first one is called eBird, and the next one is called iNaturalist. eBird is run through Cornell University, and it's a global birding community. So their goal is to collect as much data as they can globally about where birds are, what people are seeing where, and then all of this data is gathered and used by educators, scientists, researchers, our staff at the Nature Conservancy of Canada to just inform better and smarter conservation and better and smarter science. iNaturalist is very similar, but it's actually for all organisms. So you can also use it to just take a photo of a plant species you're not sure what it is. It'll give you some indicators about what it thinks you might be looking at, which is a great way to just tell if you might have some invasive species in your backyard too. So it's a pretty powerful tool. So I definitely recommend downloading both of those and checking them out. And then finally, you know, whether you have land you might be considering options for or would like to support our work or are looking to volunteer, we're always thrilled to speak with people who are looking to get involved in protecting nature. We of course know it's a difficult time, but if you are in a position where you're interested in supporting environmental work in your backyard, we would be so grateful for any support. You know, one thing NCC also does is works with businesses small and large who might be also looking to support environmental initiatives near their office, engage their employees through gift matching or a presentation to their team, or maybe sponsoring one of our volunteer programs or events. So I guess finally, you know, we would love the opportunity to have you all out to nature as soon as we're able to do so, as soon as it's safe to do so. We have all types of different volunteer opportunities. So whether you want to come out and help us plant or help with, you know, an erosion control project, invasive species control, we'd love to keep you up to date on things that are happening and love the opportunity to host you for a hike or anything in the future. I have a short little video that I'm going to see if it'll play here. I might have to pull it up here. Can people see a YouTube channel there?
Yeah, it's there. Go play.
It's there? Okay, perfect. So hopefully I have the sound set up. And this is just something that our team put together just as a thank you, especially right now for our supporters and people who are helping all this great work happen. So it's also just got some really pretty pictures. So we thought we'd play it. Right.
Thank you so much, Brittany and Laura. Greg
You're
McWatt.
welcome.
Hi, Laura and Brittany. Thanks very much for speaking today. I'm the chair for the environmental services at Rotary Club of Barrie, and I had the pleasure of going to the NCC last fall to see Bob McDonald host a panel. Which was really informative and fantastic, and it even enabled us to acquire Bob as a speaker for our Earth Day event, which didn't happen because of COVID, unfortunately. And we're hoping to have that on October 3rd, and would invite you and your members to join us. We may have to reschedule it in the new year, depending on how this wonderful virus plays out. But Laura, I guess being from Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia, you stuck with the environment and had a beautiful place you were born and raised in, and now you're making the rest of Ontario a beautiful place, and thank you. And Brittany, I've had the chance to be at the Minising Wetlands and mountain bike around the Coulson area as well. And they're two really fabulous parts of our region, and I hope they can maintain for the rest of our generation and for people coming in the future and children. I think your video showing a young child being a tree hugger is kind of interesting, whereas decades ago, that would have been a derogatory comment. Now it's what kids want and what the next generation are going to be focused on. We just do a lot of work with the NVCA, and we just completed a donation with the other Rotary Club in Barrie for the Widowdadawin, Friends of Widowdadawin Lookout out on the Minising, looking over the Minising Swamp. And we were also always looking for hands-on projects. And even though this is the end of our Rotary year, the next environmental committee may want to participate in some kind of hands-on project with you going forward. And I'll put that towards the director. And Dave Porter, he's resigning as secretary. He may want to do the dragonfly count next year because he has a lot more time.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But once again, thanks very much for coming. Sorry Doug didn't make it back on, and thank him for coming to the Rotary Club.
He just came back in. Doug, nice to see you. I don't know how much of the presentation you saw of Laura and Brittany, but they did a great job covering off what you were going. Did you want to add any words to that?
Well, yeah. Let me, I guess, apologize. I'm starting to realize what the issue with rural internet is all about. But anyway, I spent my career in Toronto. Got the opportunity to retire early. Moved up to Oro-Medonte 3 years ago. In fact, I live just around the corner from the East Coulson Swamp, so when things get better, feel free to give me a shout and I can take you on a hike through the property. But I've been involved with NCC for about 7 years. I've been nothing but impressed. It gives me a really good feeling. I did see most of the presentation, and that map that shows Canada and all the properties, it gives me a really, good feeling to know that we're making, an impact on a national scale. And, it couldn't be done without the, great support of our team at NCC, our volunteers, and the, public at large. So, I'd encourage you to get out and enjoy nature. And, if you can support us, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Doug. I appreciate the effort that everyone has put in there, and we do like the partnership with NBC. It makes us feel great when we don the swimwear and go plunging into Big Mama Pond, and we actually used the Nottawasaga River. I think it was 2 years ago to do a canoe ride down and through the Minising Swamp. It was a great day for everyone. And certainly makes you appreciate what we have right in our own back door. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Barrie, we are continuing on with our fight for polio. And in recognition of your talk or your presentation today, we've made a donation to Rotary in your name. I've got a little placket for that. And would really welcome you back as a guest anytime that you can share a presentation like that. Again, it was greatly appreciated. Next week's meeting, there is no meeting. Tonight there will be a satellite meeting. If anybody wants to join in, there was a link sent out last week. Our music connection this week is none other than John Lennon. For our visitors, we always try to find something that, a song that connects Rotary with our speaker, and I often think about the environment and different things like COVID, where nobody told us there'd be days like these, and if we had only known is kind of the message in the song, but I think when John Lennon was writing this, he was kind of writing about what has happened, so he's either clairvoyant or history is repeating itself. What I didn't know about this song was that he had written it for Ringo Starr, and then he died in 1980, and then shortly after that, Yoko Ono re-released the song for the Milk and Honey album. So your Rotary song for the week is "Nobody Told Me There'd Be Days Like These" by John Lennon. If there's no other further business for Rotary, I declare this meeting adjourned. If you folks would like to stick around till after, I'm sure there's going to be some questions here if you've got a few minutes. Thank you, everyone, and I declare this meeting adjourned.